want to introduce Japanese potato chips?
This video is sponsored by Karebi Big Bad Potato Chip.
うすしお味。
So, for the first video, I want to make it a little bit personal because I read all the suggestions that people had or people gave me, and well, I decided that I owe everyone that knows me an explanation on why, how, or what I'm doing in Japan. Back in November, I was living in South Korea for a while, and I was staying in this guest house as a part-time worker. I was living there and sleeping there basically. I was in a bad situation, kind of. The 2nd of November, I think, I happened to spot this cute little weird Japanese girl that needed help with the microwave. She happened to put a bloody red plastic bowl full of water in the microwave. That
I'm really sure that was fine.
it was not fine, to be honest. I happened to meet her this way, and since that moment we really hit it off pretty good. We started talking about what we liked and what we didn't, talking about life, and we even ended up going out that night to a club, coming back, and you know, there was just a vibe, there was just a connection with her. As it happens to be, sometimes people must leave countries, so she was leaving actually the next day to Japan. So we decided to stay in touch, you know. We decided to get to know each other a bit more in the long distance way. We end up having a beautiful connection, a beautiful, very meaningful relationship for both of us, till the point that we end up becoming a couple. So like every couple, we tried our best to see each other every day, which happens to be really a challenge when you live in a guest house because the internet is awful. There is so much noise that you can barely hear anything that anybody says ever. And trying to do that constantly every single night, it's really hard. It was a great experience to doing that. But as it happens to be, she is an artist, and like every artist, she had an exhibition. More specifically, an exhibition that she was eager for me to come to. Me and my big mouth, I promise. Yes, I will be there, no matter what. And it's already 2020. Well, what happens is something that nobody in this world expected that happened. Coronavirus attacked, you know, and it was really a hard time for everyone in here because everybody was basically scared for their lives, as China is basically the main hub of export and imports, and not only that, but also it's a very big transit hub. And at that time, the coronavirus was already big in here, but maybe not big in South America, Europe, or North America, or wherever you are. I tried to get my Japanese visa because as a Colombian, I need a visa to come to Japan. Mwah, mwah, surprise. So I tried to get my visa in South Korea. However, because I was not legally registered there, I couldn't apply. And as the law states that I must apply from my residence point or from my country of origin, well, I had no other choice than to go back to Colombia. We talked it out, me and my girlfriend, and we decided, you know what? If it's gotta be, it's gotta be, you know? So I took my chances. I gathered all the documents, all the proof that I needed, bloody photocopies and 100 pages manuscript about our relationship so far.
Yeah, like screenshot of the child.
Yeah, it was just crazy. A plane from South Korea down to Mexico, fly directly to Colombia. I do have family, but it's not like I can rely on them. I don't have friends or anybody that can basically welcome me at any time that I go, or money at that time I didn't have. It was a pretty challenging time because I had to stay in Colombia without the knowledge of whether I'm gonna be able to go back to Asia, if I am gonna be able to even get out of the country. Literally the next day that I arrived, I went directly to the Japanese embassy with all my paperwork and bam, got the appointment. But here's the thing. As it happens to be, being Colombian is not easy at all. They keep asking for more, obviously, because it's never enough. I deliver more documents and then we wait. 3 weeks that I was there, I was not only, you know, sitting my ass around and just waiting for a visa to get, but I was exploring my country because it's been over a decade since I had been there properly or lived there. So I really don't have any experience as a Colombian anymore that I can say. I consider myself basically more of a hybrid between Latino, Asian, European, and American. More of, I'm kind of like ashamed to say that because I don't really have an identity or a culture anymore. But yeah, so I was exploring my own country. I was basically thinking to myself, well, this is not a bad place to live actually. You know, as a kid, I used to see this country in this and this way, and now I see it kind of differently, to be honest. So I started looking for jobs in there, to be honest, because I was planning to go back to Colombia after coming to Japan. I found some jobs. I found some pretty good jobs. Basically, I was a star in that country, which it felt pretty good because over the last couple of years I've had quite a lot of opportunities refused in my field, which is marketing and music and entertainment. But it felt really good to be appreciated and to be valued in that country. I ended up going to interviews and passed a lot of tests, and I was this close to sign a contract. But when it happens to be that the day that they call me back to get my visa, I didn't know whether I get it or not, right? I ended up calling my girlfriend and I say, hey, you know what? Let's book the next flight to Japan. I'm going tomorrow. Like literally, I'm going tomorrow. They were asking me to start working literally the next week after that. However, I say, you know what? I'm not going to be able to work because I'm going to Japan. So they say, okay, well, no worries. We can schedule it for when you come back. Okay, give me your number. I will come back in a month or something like that. Sure. Back then I had a flight. I had already booked a flight. However, coronavirus situation in Asia was getting really bad. Doubt myself whether I could come or not because my flight was going back to Korea and then from Korea go to Japan. However, the consulate and the embassy and as well as the immigration here in Japan, 2 or 3 days before I flew, they canceled every single flight to Korea and they were denying entry for people that were in South Korea at the time or that were going to be in South Korea 14 days prior to the entry of Japan. So I had to cancel my flights and I had to rebook them without any advice from anybody. So on the 9th of March of 2020, I left Bogota. My flight was Bogota, Paris, Paris, Tokyo. When I arrived to Paris, every single person in Paris was really scared. Everybody was wearing a mask. However, when I left Bogota, it was pretty weird because nobody was giving a damn, excuse me for the language, but nobody was really protecting themselves back then. And they didn't know how bad it will get. I luckily had experience already because I came from South Korea. I saw what was going on in China next door. I was going to Japan, where Japan had been affected already, like over 100, 200 cases already, just in there. I really feel pity for Colombia and its citizens because if they were better prepared, they would have managed this situation way better. Yeah, no, right now in Colombia, the situation of coronavirus is really bad, to be honest. It's not about the preparation itself. Well, I do believe it's about the preparation, but also I believe it's about the people. The people do not take it very seriously, and that is the challenge because Colombians as well as the Americans, they do not like to wear masks. They are not prepared for this kind of contaminations because in Asia it's very common to wear a mask. It's very common to be holding your breath when the air is polluted or when you're in the train or something like that. It's very common because it's first of all healthy and second of all politeness. Some people like to hide, for example, their smiles if they have like cheeky teeth or if they have some complex with their mouth or with their nose or whatever. There are plenty of reasons to wear a mask. So I arrived to France and I was surprised. I have one of my best friends in France and she was arriving exactly the same day that I was arriving. She was coming from Korea and I was coming from Colombia. And it was a lovely evening that I spent in France thanks to Pauline. I happened to arrive maybe 3 hours before Pauline's flight. I saw this couple in the waiting room with a dog. Somehow in my mind, I have seen this dog before, and they were just talking about their daughter coming from South Korea. And luckily for me, I spoke French, so
Sorry, do you happen to know Pauline? Pauline?
they opened their eyes wide open and they say,
Oh, yes. Are you friends with Pauline? I'm waiting your daughter. In fact, I'm Alex.
and they had her about me. Funny enough, right? That was a very beautiful and very enjoyable experience, I will say. One of the few that I've had in Paris, to be honest. So, coming back to the flight, I flew from Paris to Tokyo. And once finally I arrived in Tokyo, I was finally here. I was finally in immigration, which also, coincidentally, they will stop you if you're Colombian, even if you have a visa. At this point, I didn't care, to be honest. I was just very happy, very finally realized that I was here, that I was finally in Japan. It was not only the place where my girlfriend is, where finally I will get to see her again after such a long time, but also one of my childhood dreams was to visit Japan. #anime. Never forget. I arrived here, took a train to meet my girlfriend, and then here I am, living the dream, Tokyo, right? After a couple of weeks, we visit her exhibition, I meet her parents, and everything is going alright. But I keep hearing this situation about the coronavirus in South America. I keep hearing it, and I keep looking at the news and seeing that something horrific is going on. The whole world is ending. I received the fatal email on the 31st of March of this year. Colombia is closing its borders. Nobody can come back to the country until further notice. So I'm like, certainly they don't mean nationals, right? I mean, what country in this world will ban nationals from coming back? Wrong. They ban everybody. And by everybody, I mean every single damn human being entering the country. So, nobody comes in, nobody goes out. Fair enough. What's the Colombian government going to do about it? As it happened to be, they sent me an email. The consulate here were prepared, you know. I sent them an email explaining my situation, saying, hey, listen, I'm a foreigner, I'm a tourist. Since I don't have the funds, so can you give me any information or anything? They certainly sent some information first. They were very helpful in some ways of like, where can you go to the doctor? If you have any emergency, please contact them. And they did something that honestly I was very touched by, which is they've been and kept till this day sending these amazing breads, very, very delicious bakery breads that they ship them every week. Honestly, it's very, very amazing. They also send me $150, and they send me a care package which included juices, masks, some cakes, delicious cakes, coffee. Oh yeah, and a great and a great vitamin supplement for constipation for somebody that didn't really have anywhere to go or a job right now in here. Well, it was really a big help. However, they never answer my biggest question. What am I gonna do if I don't have the money to go back to the country? Because guess what? The airline, Air France, cancel my ticket. And guess what? They didn't return it. I understand the situation with the coronavirus. Hey, it's something unexpected. But what I do not understand is why they didn't give me another one. Or perhaps why they gave me $50. $50! No, actually it was $49.72.
Yes.
Scheiße. I was trapped, confused, really, really angry, and desperate because my funds were running out. So what ended up happening is I started looking for jobs. I even sent to the consulate an email detailing that, hey, in my situation, I don't have the funds or the resources to stay here as long as you guys want. So I need to start looking for a job, which they never answered to. So I started to look for jobs, look for options, and this is talking on a personal level. I've had the luck in my life of having a great education, not only in which is the level of education, the high quality of education, but also the language happened to be English. So English for me is as if it's my first language. So I started looking for the easiest scapegoat, the elephant in the room, English teaching in Japan. It was very difficult to apply for these jobs because, first of all, you need to be a native speaker. Second of all, you need certain degrees or certain diplomas or certain accreditations, which I got TEFL. And you also needed to be currently residing in Japan, which was not something that I didn't have a permission to reside here. I just came with a tourist visa, which is a permission to stay, but not to live in. Thanks in part to this corona situation is that I had the opportunity to join ALT program. After all the screening processing and everything, I got a job. I had finally solved one of the most difficult things that I had in my life, which was literally being stateless, jobless, homeless. On top of that, trapped in a pandemic. Luckily for me, I solved that problem, and right now, as August 8th, 2020, I'm about to receive my job visa, my instructor visa in Japan, and I'm gonna be a resident soon. Thanks to the opportunity that they gave me, and also thanks to the effort of my girlfriend, and thanks to the luck, I will say. This was basically the story of how I survived the pandemic so far, how I got lucky, but not only lucky in terms of getting a job and getting an assistant, but also getting out of these many countries at the same time as the pandemic is surging and never catching the virus for some reason. So there you guys have it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this kind of rants or this kind of, give it a like, subscribe, and share with your friends. I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye bye.